Starting your own practice is hard for many chiropractors. It's riddled with both struggles and successes. But here at the Chiropractic Philanthropist, we make it easy by having chiropreneurs and entrepreneurs share their struggles and lessons learned in life and business so that you don't have to make the same mistakes. And now here's your host, Dr. Ed Osborne.
How amazing would it be if you could practice because you want to, not because you have to? Learn how to improve your cash flow and increase your passive income now. Go to moneyripples.com or find their podcast, The Chris Miles Money Show, to learn more. All right, TCB listeners, I have an incredible guest today, and that is actually Dr. Matthew Breske. Dr. Matt, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. It's in the evening here over in the Netherlands, but doing well.
I mean, we might even get into that. I'm interested to hear a little bit more about that. Is, how does someone go from where you were, educated in North America to all the way to the Netherlands? Maybe we'll get to that part of the story today too.
Oh yeah.
So,
okay.
I know you really well. I've known you for well over a year now. For the listeners who don't know who Dr. Matthew is, why don't you share a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into the good stuff.
All right. So I'm a small town, South Dakota boy from the U.S. Grew up in a small little town. Went to my undergraduate, played college football. Then I ended up and been now a chiropractor about 12 years. And starting after school, I started working for a company based out of in the South in the U.S. And I worked in Dallas, Texas. I worked in New Orleans. I worked in Nashville. And then I went over to the San Francisco Bay Area and San Jose area and ended up working there for 3 years as well. And so that was about 6 years into my chiropractic career. And then, so I've been just moving from clinic to clinic. I had my own practice in California, worked at a lot of high volume practices. So I was able to get a lot of experience with working with lots of different people. And my chiropractic skills I thought were improving each and every year. And then one day I'm in California and my friend calls me my friend from chiropractic school. He gives me a call and he asked if I wanted to help support his clinics he was operating in the Netherlands. And it was then kind of fork in the road is like, what should I do? I was just getting in I was working with the San Francisco 49ers football team. So I was their chiropractor, but yet I did that. I felt like I had succeeded, but then this was an opportunity for something super bizarre for somebody from where I came from to be able to do. So I sold my practice and I just went up and left, went to Europe, went over to the Netherlands to work with a friend of mine for a couple years, and then ended up branching off on my own thing and started helping consult with another couple clinics throughout Europe, and then decided I wanted to kind of settle back down and found a good job opportunity and possible potential to take over the practice in the future from a really nice, successful business of 35 years and decided this is where I want to go. Started my own practice as well. And so I've been doing that. And then kind of how I'm on your show right now is something happened to me when I was working with a colleague from mine from Canada as well. I think he lives in Vancouver. And I had a kind of a personal situation happen to me where I was trying to go through my own stuff. I was kind of healing my own injury I sustained in college football. I had a double hernia injury. And that's where I kind of went into a kind of a bad direction because I was seeing 60 to 80 people every day and I was working with constant pain. And I had adjustments every week. I was maintaining a certain level, but I still had this chronic radiating pain down my leg. And it was something like, I'm thinking, how am I going to continue further with this type of feeling I'm always having? I'm constantly helping support other people's physical issues with their backs, necks, and everything. And yet I'm, ironically suffering with this condition that I'm treating, I'm applying somewhat. And by accident, with the work with my friend, something happened where it was this magical moment where I felt all the pain in my body suspend. It was like gone. And I was like, what the hell is this? And I asked my friend what he did, and he didn't realize anything that he was doing. And it was really hard to explain to him what happened. And I started diving deeper into that situation, and that's where Centerpoint Meditation was born. And because of it, I'm working on this new method in teaching people how to relax. I'll go into that a little bit more further, but I was talking to our friend Jim Chester, and then he gets me to talking actually to you more about how to spread this method to the people in the world. And so I think it's kind of funny that about a year ago, I'm sitting in the car driving to work with my girlfriend, and we were listening to your podcast. And I said to my girlfriend, I was like, yeah, I would really like to be on that show. That would be fun.
And here we are.
And here we are. So I was pretty excited about it when I got the call to be on the show, because this is something I want more people, and especially more chiropractors, to know that this is an option to learn, and I'm ready to teach it. I'm ready to share it with as many people as we can, and we're ready for it. So that's where we're at now in our program.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I've experienced, Centerpoint. I'm going to call it. I was Centerpointed like twice now, and we'll call it that. Yeah. And it was pretty bold. Like, it was pretty dramatic change. It's like I was really surprised, but it's something that we can maybe touch base on. But we'll also drop a link so docs can go and learn a little bit more. And also, we have a free gift for everyone today too. But before we kind of get into that, I mean, I love the story of the rural South Dakotan, right? And then all of a sudden now here you are on the other side of the world practicing. So that's always interesting too. And I love having eclectic guests on the podcast. But one of the things we'd love too, we love affirmations. We love positive words of meaning, quotes. So why don't you drop some positive words on docs, and then let's discuss that.
So a couple things when I'm on a daily basis with work and in my personal life, I always, because I've challenged, and this goes into the Centerpoint thing as well, and things because of it that I've figured out what's been happening in my own physical body over the years, what I didn't realize the first 34 years of my life. Now I've been 6 years busy with this, and now I have a total different understanding over what I went through as a child and how it's reflected in my adult life. I was one of those typical ADHD types scenarios with my behavior, and I was challenged, and I was battling with that as well. And so then I would find myself always being too rushed in my head. So the quote that I always keeps me kind of centered is slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And that brings me into a moment of peace, because I'm no longer rushing with what I'm doing, and it brings me back to the present. I think that's a quote by Bruce Lee, actually.
Oh, is it?
I think so. And
I love it.
I can't say it's my quote, but anyway, then that always brings me back to the present moment, and that really helps. And another one I use with practice with clients, at the end of the day, after you're like 50, 60, 70, some people are seeing 100 a day. When it gets to that last hour, best is last. I always concentrate on providing the best possible service until the last client leaves the door. Because I know when we get in our heads and we get into that point in the day where we're done and we're tired, we've been in the energy of lots of different people. You have to bring yourself back to that moment and say, hey, this is going to be as good as it was at the first adjustment of the day. And so I always kind of do that, and I call it the hour of power.
I love it. Yeah. I remember those days too, of like when it was, when you start, especially if it was like a busy morning or super busy afternoon or shift. And I was always just as energized at the end of the day or the end of the shift as I was when I was beginning the shift. And I loved it. It was my space. It was my happy place.
Yeah. And until I started changing my awareness over what my subconscious was doing to me, like I had concluded that my empathetic levels were really high, and I would take on the tension and the complaints of the people I would serve.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
And that's where Centerpoint also helps out with the empaths, because it's like, as you work through a full day and you have everything coming at you from every direction possible, and you're serving people, and you're empathetic to all the stimulus that's out there in the world, it's like having a big, heavy backpack, and it just gets heavier and heavier and heavier. Yeah, rocks.
Yeah.
And I've found out that the Centerpoint will empty that backpack in 10, 20, 30 seconds. So you can just do that method. I don't know. I do it probably 50 to 100 times a day, because it's
like reset. Centerpoint.
Yeah. It's like a reset.
And so Doc, like, why don't you share with us, like, one of the things that we love to talk about too is like times of struggle. Like when, gosh, I mean, who has not experienced some struggle? Like, especially recently. I know this, I mean, someone might be listening to this at any time, but we've all experienced some challenges, some time that we've fallen on our face. When was the time where you experienced some real, challenges, and what was it that you really learned from that? And then how do you apply that to your life and business today? And possibly that was part of the story that got you to Centerpoint right now.
Yeah, I think the most difficult time was when I went out on my own, and yet it happened in California as well with the reoccurrence of the back injury. And then also when I was over in Europe, and when you're on your own working in your own type of situation and your back goes out and you have to work with this type of pain and uncomfortable, hell on earth, as I call it. And I didn't think I had enough energy to get through the next 5 years, let alone probably that 1 year when it happened. And I was doing everything you needed to do to keep your back well. I was doing chiropractic and everything. And I think by not knowing why my tension was always coming back such levels is where I was really down with it. That was one of my biggest struggles, because I am super analytical and I'm super skeptical. And I just don't believe all the shit I'm told. I want to know it. I always say that knowledge is way more powerful than beliefs. And what happened was, when I kind of came across the Centerpoint method, it made me look into a different direction that I was never expecting to be in. Some people would call it even the energy work or things like this, but I've been trying to tie it into quantum physics and normal physics and biology and chemistry, because I want to know why it works. I just don't want to believe it works. I have to know why. So then that has brought me on this journey on investigation, deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole on trying to understand things that nobody's talking about or teaching people. And so getting out of that struggle has been like the most uplifting thing I could have ever imagined. Now I feel like I could go 40 more years working easy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like when you discover something and it's like, you just want to get it out to the world. Right. I
Yeah.
remember you and I even had this discussion. You're like, I need to get more research on this. I'm like, dude, the research doesn't matter. It's just the results matter.
Yeah. Exactly. And we're putting together the right way to deliver this, because I want it to be in a way that people can learn it effectively and not pay an arm and leg for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I want them to be able to use it. And I want it to be, yeah. And the thing is, to get into it further, is that's not what I went to school for, going to share, getting in front of all these people, going to teach people a new technique. I wasn't planning on this, but luckily this technique is in the hands of a chiropractor, because this ties into so many different things in the chiropractic philosophy that, yeah, if somebody else came across this method, I don't know if it would be as powerful, to be honest.
Yeah.
And
it's in the right hands, right? Is what you're saying, like with chiros and
yeah.
And I love the system that you have too. I mean, just from like, so I've experienced it virtually, but I also experienced it hands-on when you were at one of our masterminds. So it's very powerful. But you have a clear system as to actually not only how you can not teach, but how you can do this and show people this in a workshop setting, but you also have like how you can show someone how to become basically a certified practitioner as well, right?
Yeah. And so we're in the very early, we have the program ready to go, but we're still adding more value to that program for the practitioners that will learn it. And right now we're in the stage, I kind of made a rabbit hole to dive into this investigation. First is just an introduction over, where the origin came from. Mm-hmm. The second is just the basic principles of Centerpoint. And since now, because of COVID-19, I've made an online workshop. So I took my live workshop where I would show people how to do this in like a 4 or 5 hour workshop. Mm-hmm. I would do it in a live environment. And now I took that and I made 4 video modules and a few pain demonstrations on how other videos, even center pointing my daughter, which is a cool one. Mm-hmm. And because, we weren't planning on videotaping that. She was just crying hysterically around 2.5 months. And my girlfriend was like, she's like, I don't know what's wrong. And I grabbed her and I center pointed her, and I center pointed my daughter in the direction of somebody I would center point who has PTSD. Mm. Because my daughter was in a C-section situation, unfortunately. Oh. And that causes a baby to have post-traumatic stress subconsciously. Mm. And when I brought her out of that stress position, she instantly goes relaxed. Mm. And then, so then that's the online program. And in order to become a teacher or become licensed, you have to first do one of those programs, either live or the virtual. And so that's the stage we're at right now, is getting more people to do the live work or do the online workshop.
That's amazing. Yeah. And so like if a doc is listening right now and they want to learn a little bit more, what's the best place for them to head to?
They can just go to centerpointmeditation.com, and the free ebook is the beginning. And then mm-hmm. on the site, in my web shop, I have the online virtual workshop as well as the ebook. Mm-hmm. And everything right now, because of COVID-19, I've dropped the price in half for everything at this moment. Just for another month or two until things start to clear. And then if they do the workshop, this also gets you 2 one-on-ones with me, so I can do the virtual CPM with them, make sure they're doing it right. And then if they're interested in becoming a licensee, then they interview. I can only have enough space for about 10 licensees per year at this moment.
I know a lot of docs, especially people who are who have anything that's online or doing coaching or any sort of programs or memberships definitely have like compassion, I guess you could call it compassion investment or tuition when it comes to their program. So we thank you for that too. So any listeners, right, what you can do is you can actually head over to thechiropracticphilanthropist.com. We're going to have a webpage actually dedicated to our discussion with Dr. Matt today as well. And we'll have all the links and the resources that he's providing today so that you can actually go ahead and check out Centerpoint Therapy. I'm going to actually, well, is it therapy though? It's really Centerpoint Meditation, isn't it?
Yeah. So the reason we call it meditation, I was going to do a Facebook Live the other day on it, decided to wait, it's called a meditation because it brings your body's physiology to a meditative state.
Okay.
And if you want to say what we consider meditating is, that would be including most of the techniques, if not all of them that are out there, is basically using your mind to relax your body. And Centerpoint reverses that, and you use your body's position to relax the mind. So when you put the body in its physiological center point, the mind instantly relaxes. That's why the time scale is so different with Centerpoint. That's why a chiropractor could Centerpoint every client that comes in, and it would only take 30 seconds. And the technique is evolving every day. I've had people with chronic issues, and I just Centerpointed half of their body, and chronic conditions just disappear.
Wow.
And with that, we're going to share a lot of this testimonials and these stories and case studies next week. Actually, on Tuesday, the 28th of April, we'll be having a live webinar we're hosting it through Zoom next week. And that you can also find in the products on the Centerpoint site.
Fantastic. Cool.
So,
we'll drop the link there too if we get this out, hopefully by that time for the listeners.
Yeah, but it'll be repeated. So
okay.
we'll even have that webinar posted on the website afterwards.
So
and that's just so that'll be always on there, and that's just the what it is, why, how it works, why it works, case studies, Q&A, and it's just getting more information out there to people over why this is such a technique. Such a thing people can use as a technique that they can add to what they already do. This isn't designed to replace anything. It's just supplemental.
Outstanding. And so Dr. Matt, what we're going to do is we're actually going to transition and put you into the TCP time machine. Are you ready?
I am.
All right. So here's what we're doing.
I'm ready to go.
All right. We'll fire you into the TCP time machine. We're going to send you back to a younger version of yourself. Now, this is right after you came out of chiropractic college, and you have all the knowledge, all of the life experience that you have today. Now, you meet that younger self. What would you say to that younger self?
Yeah, the easiest thing I would say is just remember that hindsight is always 20/20. You're going to suffer adversity in your life right out of, me and my ex-fiance at the end of my chiropractic school, we broke up after 7 years. So that was like, if that's the time I would be talking to myself, I would be devastated at the time. Just tell them to trust the process and trust the plan, because everything's going to work out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And one of the things we love to do is kind of just wrap up the show is really resources. And so this could be something that's on their bedside table, something you're reading right now, something you're watching, not a Netflix show. And, someone you're following, a mentor. What is a resource you feel like docs should go out and just, dive completely right into right now?
I would say right now, go into what Brent Jones is doing. He's he's got a voice and he's got power behind it. And I really, really got into his stuff. And yeah, I'm hoping in the future that I can work with him with some things, because he just had a nice program like, what was it? Move, Breathe, Meditate. And I've just got the program, and I'm going to be doing that just to dive into what he's doing. And I would love to be able to work in synergy with him in the future.
Very nice.
His stuff is really cool.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And I think actually Dr. Brett, it's been a few years, but we had an interview with him a couple of years ago. It was probably one of the highest downloaded episodes we'd ever had. All right, listeners, head over to thechiropracticphilanthropist.com. As I mentioned, we will have a webpage dedicated to our discussion today. And here's the thing is I think we actually will have our new website up and running by this time as well that we get this episode out. So please do go check out our new website, the new format. Doc, I want to thank you so much for being on the Chiropractic Philanthropist today, and just sharing your wisdom, but your knowledge, experience. Certainly, this is a time of heavy anxiety and stress for a lot of doctors. So I believe that Centerpoint can definitely help.
Yeah.
But I want to thank you for giving back today.
Yeah, and also one more thing is if the people do become licensed practitioners now with the COVID thing, we're ready to train you to do this for your clients virtually as well. So if you're stuck not being able to work, this is an option.
Fantastic. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So you've heard the struggles, you've heard the successes, and this episode is done. But there's still so much more to come and so much more to learn. Head on over to thechiropracticphilanthropist.com and sign up for our newsletter, where you'll receive free practice building tips and strategies, including how to market your practice with your very own podcast and so much more. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on The Chiropractic Philanthropist.